Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. In a world divided between endless day and perpetual night, the lines between light and dark were more than just a matter of time. They were the very fabric of existence, two separate realities that never intertwined, each bound by their own rules and inhabitants. The day realm basked in the unceasing warmth of the sun, its people living under the bright blue skies where innovation and logic reigned supreme. On the other side lay the night realm, a land cloaked in eternal darkness, where ancient magic and mysteries lingered in the shadows, and the stars were the only guides through the unknown. Lucifer, a young man of 18, stood on the precipice of the border between these two realms. His heart pounded in his chest as he gazed into the void beyond the twilight, the only time when the worlds of day and night briefly touched before being pulled apart once more. He was neither fully of the day nor the night, a product of both worlds and yet belonging to neither. His pale skin, inherited from his mother, glowed faintly under the dim light, while his dark hair, a gift from his mysterious father, blended with the surrounding shadows. He was a contradiction, an anomaly in a world that had long forgotten how to bridge the gap between light and darkness. For as long as he could remember, Lucifer had been an outcast. In the small village where he was raised, nestled deep within the night realm, the villagers eyed him with suspicion and fear. They whispered tales of his origins, of how his mother had once ventured too close to the border and been seduced by a man from the day realm. Such unions were forbidden, and the birth of a child from such a union was seen as a curse. But Lucifer's mother had loved him dearly, shielding him from the worst of the villagers' scorn until her untimely death when he was just a boy. Since then, Lucifer had lived a life of solitude, his only companions the whispers of the wind and the distant glow of the day realm that beckoned him with a promise of answers. He had always felt the pull of the light, an irresistible force that called to the part of him that was not entirely of the night. And so, when the message arrived from a stranger in the day realm claiming to know the truth about his heritage, Lucifer knew that he could no longer ignore the questions that had plagued him his entire life. The message had come to him in a dream, a voice that spoke of secrets buried deep within the day realm and of a power that only he could wield. When he awoke, a small pendant lay beside him, its surface inscribed with symbols he did not recognize. The voice in his dream had told him to take the pendant to the day realm, where all would be revealed. And so, with nothing left to lose and everything to gain, Lucifer made the decision that would change his life forever. As the twilight deepened, Lucifer stepped across the border, feeling the warmth of the day realm wash over him like a wave. The brightness was overwhelming at first, searing his eyes and making him squint against the glare. But as his vision adjusted, he found himself standing in a world that was both familiar and alien. The sky was a brilliant blue, with the sun hanging high above, its golden rays casting long shadows on the ground. The air was filled with the hum of activity, the distant sounds of people going about their daily lives in a bustling metropolis that stretched as far as the eye could see. Lucifer took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of fresh grass and blooming flowers, a stark contrast to the cold, damp air of the night realm. He marveled at the vibrancy of the colors around him, the way the light played off the surfaces of the buildings, making them shimmer like precious gems. It was a world of beauty and order, and yet beneath the surface, Lucifer could sense an underlying tension, a feeling that something was not quite right. He made his way through the streets, keeping to the shadows as much as possible to avoid drawing attention. The people of the day realm were dressed in bright, clean clothes, their faces open and unguarded, unlike the wary, cloaked figures he was used to in the night realm. They moved with purpose, their expressions filled with determination and confidence. But as Lucifer observed them more closely, he noticed the way their eyes darted nervously from side to side, as if they were expecting something to happen at any moment. After what felt like hours of wandering, Lucifer finally arrived at the place described in the message, a towering structure made of glass and steel that sparkled in the sunlight. The building was unlike anything he had ever seen, its walls reflecting the sky above and the ground below, creating the illusion that it was floating in midair. He hesitated at the entrance, unsure of what to expect, but the pendant around his neck grew warm, urging him forward. Inside, the building was cool and quiet, a stark contrast to the bustling streets outside. The floors were made of smooth marble, and the walls were lined with intricate carvings that seemed to shift and change as he walked past them. Lucifer felt a strange sense of familiarity as he moved through the hallways, as if he had been here before, in another life. Finally, he reached a large chamber at the heart of the building, where a man stood waiting for him. The stranger was tall and thin, with sharp features and piercing blue eyes that seemed to see straight through Lucifer. He wore a long, flowing robe of deep blue, and his hands were clasped behind his back as he regarded Lucifer with a mixture of curiosity and amusement. "Welcome, Lucifer," the man said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "I have been expecting you." Lucifer tensed, instinctively reaching for the pendant around his neck. "Who are you? How do you know my name?" The man smiled, a cold, calculating smile that sent a shiver down Lucifer's spine. "My name is Elias, and I have been watching you for a long time. You have a great destiny ahead of you, young one, a destiny that will change the course of both our worlds." Lucifer frowned, suspicion gnawing at the edges of his mind. "What do you want from me?" Elias's smile widened. "It is not what I want from you, but what you want for yourself. You came here seeking answers, did you not? About your father, about who you are and what you are meant to do?" Lucifer nodded, his grip on the pendant tightening. "Yes." "Then I shall give you those answers," Elias said, his tone softening. "But first, there is something you must do for me. The Day Realm is in great danger, Lucifer. The rulers of this world are planning to invade the Night Realm, to conquer it and bend it to their will. If they succeed, both our worlds will be thrown into chaos, and the balance that has kept us safe for so long will be destroyed." Lucifer's heart skipped a beat at the mention of war. He had always feared that the delicate peace between the realms would one day be shattered, but to hear it spoken aloud filled him with a deep sense of dread. "What can I do to stop it?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Elias reached into his robe and pulled out a small, glowing crystal. "This is a fragment of the heart of the world, the source of all power in our realms. It was broken long ago, and the pieces were scattered across both worlds to prevent anyone from wielding its full power. Your father was one of the guardians tasked with protecting these fragments, but he disappeared before he could fulfill his duty. Now, it falls to you to complete what he started." Lucifer stared at the crystal, mesmerized by its glow. "What do I have to do?" Elias stepped closer, his eyes boring into Lucifer's. "You must find the other fragments and reunite them at the heart of the world. Only then can the balance be restored, and the war averted. But be warned, Lucifer, the journey will be perilous. There are those who will stop at nothing to prevent you from succeeding, and the path ahead is fraught with danger." Lucifer took the crystal, feeling its warmth seep into his skin. "I will do it," he said, determination hardening his voice. "I will find the fragments and stop the war." Elias nodded approvingly. "Good. I knew you would not disappoint me. Now, go quickly. Time is running out." Without another word, Lucifer turned and left the chamber, the crystal clutched tightly in his hand. As he made his way back through the building, his mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. He had always known that he was different, that his life was meant for something more, but he had never imagined that he would be the one to save both worlds. outside, the sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the city. Lucifer quickened his pace, knowing that he had little time before the boundary between the realms would close again. He had to return to the night realm, to the place where it all began, and find the answers he sought. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, Lucifer crossed the border once more, feeling the familiar chill of the night realm wrap around him like a cloak. The pendant around his neck pulsed with energy, guiding him through the darkness as he made his way back to his village, but as he approached the familiar path, he sensed that something was wrong. The air was thick with tension, and the usual sounds of the night were eerily absent. Lucifer's heart pounded in his chest as he quickened his pace, dread gnawing at his insides. When he reached the village, his worst fears were confirmed. The houses were dark and empty, the streets deserted. The only sign of life was a group of cloaked figures standing in the center of the square, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Lucifer froze, his breath catching in his throat. He recognized them instantly, the Night Dwellers' Council, the most powerful and feared group in the night realm. They were the ones who had enforced the laws that kept the realms separate, the ones who had condemned his mother and made his life a living hell. One of the figures stepped forward, pulling back his hood to reveal a face as cold and hard as stone. "Lucifer," he said, his voice like ice. "We have been waiting for you." Lucifer's hand instinctively went to the pendant, but the councilman raised a hand, and the pendant was ripped from his neck by an unseen force. It floated through the air and landed in the councilman's outstretched palm, its glow fading as it left Lucifer's touch. "You have broken the law, Lucifer," the councilman continued, his tone laced with disdain. "You have crossed into the day realm and brought back something that does not belong here. For this, you must be punished." Lucifer's blood ran cold. He had always known that the council would not take kindly to his actions, but he had not expected them to act so swiftly. "I only did what I had to," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I did it to protect our world, to stop a war." The councilman sneered. "You speak of protection, yet you bring danger to our very doorstep. That crystal you carry is a weapon, one that could destroy us all. You have put us all in jeopardy, and for that, you must pay the price." Lucifer opened his mouth to protest, but before he could speak, the councilman raised his hand again, and a wave of darkness swept over him. He felt himself being pulled into the void, his body weightless and cold as the world around him faded to black. When he awoke, he was no longer in the village. He was in a cavern deep within the earth, the walls lined with jagged crystals that glowed with a faint, eerie light. The air was thick with the scent of damp stone and decay, and the only sound was the distant drip of water echoing through the darkness. Lucifer tried to move, but his limbs felt heavy, as if they were made of lead. He looked down and saw that he was bound by thick, black chains, their cold metal biting into his skin. Panic surged through him as he struggled against his restraints, but they held fast, unyielding to his efforts. "Do not struggle," a voice said from the shadows. "It will do you no good." Lucifer froze, his heart racing as the figure stepped into the dim light. It was a woman, tall and slender, with long, dark hair that flowed down her back like a waterfall of shadows. Her eyes were a piercing shade of green, and her lips were curled into a smile that was both cruel and alluring. "Who are you?" Lucifer demanded, his voice trembling with fear and anger. The woman chuckled, a sound that sent chills down his spine. "My name is Seraphine, and I am here to help you." Lucifer narrowed his eyes, suspicion flaring in his chest. "Help me? How? By chaining me up and leaving me to rot?" Seraphine's smile widened. "These chains are not to hold you, Lucifer, but to protect you. The council fears what you might do with the crystal, and they have sent their best to stop you. But I know the truth, and I know that you are the only one who can save us all." Lucifer's breath caught in his throat. "What do you mean?" Seraphine stepped closer, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "I knew your father, Lucifer. He was a great man, a guardian of the realms, just as you are. He gave his life to protect the heart of the world, and now, it is your turn to finish what he started." Lucifer's mind reeled with the implications of her words. He had always known that his father was different, but he had never imagined that he was a guardian, tasked with protecting the very balance of the world. "What happened to him?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Seraphine's smile faded, her expression turning somber. "He was betrayed by those he trusted most. The council feared his power, and so they conspired to have him killed. But before he died, he entrusted the crystal to your mother, knowing that one day, you would come for it." Lucifer's heart ached with the weight of her words. His father had died to protect him, to ensure that he would have the power to stop the coming war. "Why are you helping me?" he asked, his voice filled with confusion and doubt. Seraphine reached out and touched his cheek, her fingers cold against his skin. "Because I believe in you, Lucifer. I believe that you can do what your father could not. But you must be careful. The council will stop at nothing to prevent you from reaching the heart of the world. They will try to turn you against yourself, to make you doubt your own power. But you must stay strong, and you must trust in your own strength." Lucifer felt a surge of determination rise within him. He had spent his entire life feeling like an outsider, like he did not belong in either realm. But now, he realized that he was meant for something greater, something that transcended the boundaries of light and dark. "What do I need to do?" he asked, his voice steady with resolve. Seraphine smiled once more, a smile that was both sad and hopeful. "You must find the other fragments of the crystal and take them to the heart of the world. There, you will have the power to restore the balance between the realms and prevent the war. But you must be quick. Time is running out, and the forces of darkness are closing in." Lucifer nodded, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. "Where do I start?" Seraphine stepped back, her form beginning to fade into the shadows. "The journey will not be easy, Lucifer. The fragments are hidden in places of great danger, guarded by creatures of unimaginable power. But you are not alone. I will be with you, guiding you along the way. Trust in yourself, and trust in the light that burns within you." As her words echoed through the cavern, the chains around Lucifer's wrists and ankles began to loosen, falling away with a clatter. He stood, his limbs still stiff from the restraints, but his mind clear and focused. He knew what he had to do. With a final nod to Seraphine, who had all but disappeared into the darkness, Lucifer turned and began his journey. The path ahead was uncertain, and the dangers were many, but he was determined to see it through to the end. He would find the fragments, restore the heart of the world, and bring peace to the realms, just as his father had intended. The journey took Lucifer through landscapes that defied imagination, each more treacherous and beautiful than the last. In the night realm, he braved the frozen peaks of the ice mountains, where the wind howled like a beast and the ground was slick with ice. There, he faced the first guardian, a massive wolf made of ice and shadow, its eyes glowing with an ancient intelligence. The battle was fierce, the wolf relentless in its attack, but Lucifer fought with everything he had, using the light within him to drive the creature back and claim the first fragment. In the day realm, he crossed the burning deserts of the sun plains, where the heat was so intense that it warped the air and made the ground shimmer like water. The second guardian awaited him there, a serpent of fire and sand, its body coiled around the fragment like a living flame. The serpent's attacks were swift and deadly, but Lucifer's determination never wavered. He used the cool darkness of the night to douse the flames, striking with precision and claiming the second fragment. Each victory brought him closer to his goal, but it also brought new challenges. The further he went, the more the boundaries between the realms began to blur. The night realm grew warmer, its shadows less pronounced, while the day realm grew colder, its light dimmer. It was as if the world itself was reacting to his quest, the balance shifting in response to his actions. As he journeyed, Lucifer also began to experience strange visions. They came to him in flashes, images of a world that was neither day nor night, but a perfect blend of both. In these visions, he saw people of the day realm and the night realm living together in harmony, their differences celebrated rather than feared. He saw the sun rise and set, casting both light and shadow across the land, and he saw himself standing at the center of it all, a beacon of hope and unity. These visions gave him strength, reminding him of the importance of his mission. But they also filled him with doubt. What if he failed? What if he could not restore the balance, and the war he feared became a reality? The weight of his responsibility was immense, and the thought of what was at stake threatened to overwhelm him, but each time doubt crept in, Lucifer remembered Seraphine's words. He had to trust in himself, in the light that burned within him. He had to believe that he was capable of more than he had ever imagined, that he was the one who could bring peace to the realms. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of trials and tribulations, Lucifer reached the place he had been searching for, the heart of the world. It was a place unlike any other, a vast, open expanse where the sun and the stars met in a perpetual twilight. The ground beneath his feet was made of smooth, polished stone, and the air was filled with the soft hum of energy, like the beating of a great, unseen heart. At the center of the heart of the world stood a pedestal, upon which rested the final fragment of the crystal. It was larger than the others, its surface etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change with the light. Lucifer approached it slowly, his heart pounding in his chest as he reached out to take it, but before his fingers could touch the crystal, a voice rang out through the twilight, stopping him in his tracks. "So, you have finally arrived, Lucifer." He turned to see a figure emerging from the shadows, a figure that sent a jolt of recognition through him. It was the councilman, the same one who had condemned him back in the village, his eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "You have come far," the councilman continued, his voice filled with a twisted kind of pride. "But this is where your journey ends. You see, Lucifer, you were never meant to succeed. The council has been watching you all along, guiding you to this moment. We have been waiting for the perfect time to strike, and now, that time has come." Lucifer's mind raced as the councilman's words sank in. It had all been a trap, a carefully orchestrated plan to lure him to the heart of the world so that the council could take the crystal's power for themselves. "Why?" he demanded, his voice shaking with anger. "Why would you do this?" The councilman sneered, his eyes narrowing with disdain. "Because the balance between the realms is a lie. The day realm and the night realm were never meant to coexist. They are two sides of the same coin, destined to be at war for all eternity. But with the power of the heart of the world, we can finally end that war, once and for all." Lucifer felt a surge of rage rise within him. He had been manipulated, used as a pawn in the council's twisted game. But he also knew that he could not let them succeed. The visions he had seen, the world of light and dark living in harmony, were not just a dream. They were a possibility, a future that he had the power to create. With a roar of determination, Lucifer lunged for the crystal, but the councilman was faster. He raised his hand, and a wave of darkness swept over the heart of the world, engulfing Lucifer in its cold embrace. For a moment, all was lost, and Lucifer felt himself being pulled into the void, his strength fading as the darkness closed in around him. But then, in the depths of the darkness, he felt a familiar warmth, a light that burned within him, brighter and stronger than ever before. It was the light of both realms, the light of his father and mother, the light of the heart of the world itself. And in that moment, Lucifer understood what he had to do. He reached deep within himself, calling upon the power that had been passed down to him, the power of the guardians. He let the light fill him, banishing the darkness and giving him the strength to stand once more. As the light radiated from his body, the darkness around him began to fade, and the heart of the world was revealed once more. The councilman recoiled in shock as Lucifer stepped forward, his body glowing with an ethereal light. "You cannot stop this, Lucifer," the councilman shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. "The war is inevitable." Lucifer shook his head, his voice calm and resolute. "No, it is not. I will not let our worlds be torn apart by fear and hatred. There is another way, a way to bring peace to both realms." With those words, he reached out and touched the crystal, and the world around him exploded in a blinding flash of light. The power of the heart of the world surged through him, filling every fiber of his being with a warmth and clarity that he had never known. He felt the boundaries between the realms dissolve, the walls of division crumbling as light and dark merged into one. As the light faded, Lucifer found himself standing at the center of a new world. The heart of the world was no longer a place of twilight, but a place where day and night coexisted in perfect harmony. The sky above was painted with the hues of dawn and dusk, the sun and the stars shining together in a dance of light and shadow. The councilman lay defeated at Lucifer's feet, his power broken and his ambitions shattered. But Lucifer felt no triumph in his victory, only a deep sense of responsibility. He had done what he had to do, but the work was not yet finished. He turned and walked away from the heart of the world, leaving the past behind him. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and unknowns, but he was no longer alone. The light of both realms would guide him, just as it had guided his father before him. And as Lucifer stepped into the new world, he knew that he had finally found his place, a place where he belonged, where the light and dark within him could coexist in peace.